14. The Chinese and Roman artists give ear to this advice for one who's well informed. Lay down your head, or by wine you've been transformed. Whene'er a drunken man reels forth from tavern's door, a laughing stock he's made by urchin and by boor. Now here, now there, he lurches, stumbling on his road, falls in the mire, is mocked and jeered, scorned as a toad. The children of the neighborhood his steps surround, unconscious what is wine's hilarity profound. So are all people's children round the saints of God. None adults are, save they who've cast off passion's clod. 'Twas said, the world's a toy, a plaything, and men all are infants. These are God's words. True in sense they fall. No child but loves his toys, his playthings, games, and sports. By cultivation of the mind, man sense imports. Man's love for worldly things is like a child's love for toys. The child and man in these repeat each other's joys. The child in play performs the very self-same part. He'll act when grown, a hero, learnt debating art. Men's quarrels are the same as those fought out by boys. They're senseless, reasonless, they squabble for mere toys. Their weapons are but wooden swords used as in play. Their objects are not worth a thought by night or day. They mount their hobby horses, ride about on sticks, declaring 'tis a Capellus eclipse that kicks. 'Tis they who bear a burden, pack horse-like our donkey. Their bane converts them into horsemen's mass. So let it be till that day when God's riders shall on steeds of fire transcend the seventh heavens rolling ball. The spirit and the angels mount unto their God. The spheres shall shake when under saintly footsteps trod. For as the wrath of mankind mount their own coattails, imagining their horsemen prancing as ship sails. The Lord hath said, imaginings of no avail, imagination's steed to scale heaven's heights must fail. Imagination's best is but a choice of doubts. Man ne'er disputes about the sun, but the whim he flouts. The time will come, he'll see what wretched screw he rides, that which he deemed a courser's, but his own shank sides. His senses, thoughts, and reasonings, he then will find, are but the infant's hobby, Pa's cane more refined. The wisdom of the saints is what bears them aloft. The science of the worldly is their load, how oft. The wisdom of the heart sustains and elevates, but knowledge sensuously acquired as burden rates. 'Tis God hath said, a donkey with volumes for his load. So knowledge is a burden when not of God's code. All science not received from word of God direct hath no endurance. Paint it is, our eyes detect. Still if man bear his burden well, he's recompensed, his burden is removed, ease to him is dispensed. See then you bear not science's load from fleshly lust, lest you should suffer inward fatigue, disgust, but mount the agile steed of sacred lore divine. So shall the burden on your back at once decline, unless you drink his cup. How escape from fleshly lust? O you who in his name content are with the just, when from his name and attributes some inkling's born, this inkling points the road to union, one fair morn. Thou'st never known a guide, but some one must be led. And when no road is traveled, known can't dog man's tread. Thou'st never heard a name that indicates a thing. A flower thou'st never plucked from verbal roses sting. Hast thou pronounced the name, straightway the thing ensue. The moon seek in the sky, not in lake waters blue. But wouldst thou cast aside all names and words as vain? Thyself then purge of self, abstraction thou shalt gain. Wouldst be a sword, cast off soft irons yield refined. By discipline, the mirror burnish of thy mind. Discharge thyself of every particle self, so shalt thou see thyself pure, free from soil of pelf. Within thy heart thou see the wisdom of the saints. Without a book, a teacher, our professor's plaints. The prophet said that man is one of my true flock, whose heart and mind are hewn from mine own calling's rock. His soul perceives me through the self-same holy light, that unto me reveals his soul serenely bright. Reports, traditions, chains of evidence are lost. When soul communes with soul, minds freely can accost. This riddle solve. Occurred I last night was by birth, and then this morning Arab am by afterbirth. If one sincere a Kurdish for was overnight, sincerity an Arab made him by daylight. Example seekest of science, spring in the heart. This contest heed of Chinamen and Romans' art. The Chinese urged they had the greater painter's skill. The Romans pleaded they of art the throne did fill. The sovereign heard them both, decreed a contest fair. Results the palm should give the worthiest of the pair. The parties twain a wordy war waged in debate. The Roman show of science did predominate. The Chinamen that asked to have a house assigned for their especial use, and one for Rome designed. The allotted houses stood on either side one street. In one the Chinese, one the Roman artists meet. The Chinese asked 100 paints for their art's use. The sovereign, his resources, would not them refuse. Each morning from the treasury, rich colors store was served out to the Chinese till they asked no more. The Romans argued color our design is vain. We simply have to banish soil and filth amain. They closed their gate to burnish, then they set themselves. As heaven's vault, simplicity filled all their shelves. Vast difference there is twixt colors and not one. The colors are as clouds, simplicity's the moon. Whatever tinge you see embellishing the clouds, you know comes from the sun, the moon, our stars and crowds. At length the Chinamen their task had quite fulfilled. With joy intense their hearts did beat, their bosoms thrilled. The sovereign came, inspected all the rich designs, and lost his heart with wonder at their talents' signs. He then passed to the Romans, that his eyes might see. The curtains were withdrawn to show whatever it might be. The Chinese paintings, all, their whole designs in full, reflected truly were on that high burnished wall. Whatever was depicted by the Chinese art was reproduced by mirrors, perfect every part. Those Romans are our mystics. No, my worthy friend, no art, no learning, study none, but gain their end. They polish well their bosoms, burnish bright their hearts, remove all stain of lust, of self, of pride, hate's deep smarts. That mirrors purity, for figures their hearts trust. With endless images, reflections, it encrusts. The formless form, a thousand hidden forms, flashed in his breast on Moses' heart, like mirrored storms. That form, 'tis true, the heaven of heavens cannot contain, nor all the space between the zenith and the main. These numbered are, and limited within their bounds. The mirror of the heart is boundless in its rounds. Here reason stands aghast. O erring child of sense. The hearts with God. The heart is God, boundless, immense. From all eternity, the figures of all things, unnumbered, multitudinous, gleam in heart's wings. To all eternity, each new created form, in heart a saint reflected is most multiform. His polished heart is cleansed from being's soiling stain, and each moment contemplates fresh beauty's train. The outward gilt the shell of science they despise. The banner of real certitude floats where they rise. They've thought abandoned light and life. They truly found their breasts and hearts are filled with love's inspiring sound. Death, that dread thing of which all mankind stand in fear, is laughed and mocked at by the saints when it draws near. No man has power to dominate their tranquil minds. The shell may injured be, the pearl harm never finds. The rector's art, the jurist's skill, they set at naught. But poverty, abasement to themselves they've taught. The scenes of all 8 paradises are consumed, and that full blaze with which their holy hearts illumined. They're more exalted than the heavens and what's beyond. Their place is in the court of love divine, all fond. Al-Quran, Surah 6, Ayat 32, 29, 64, 36, 47, 38, 57, 19, 74, 10, 37, 62, 5. In the author's own preface, his eulogistic mention of Sheikh Husamuddin, where the saying is also mentioned, and by Roman in the East meant what Europeans incorrectly named Greek. Since Alexander of Macedon's time, no Greeks have existed. Their very memory is lost in Asia, and Alexander himself is styled there the Roman. And see, it's not displaying prejudice, the story there, it's mentioning them as terms of type and maybe, contests back and forth, naming tribes and stuff like that to do that. Commonly in Islam, 8 paradises are properly 8 mansions of paradise are reported, mentioned, and believed. Redhouse in Quran Surah 2:23 gives only 7, and one of those is wrong. And one of those is wrong, guided by him. However, I have corrected this and verified others. Besides finding the 8th, their names are then as follows: Jannatul Khuld, the paradise garden of eternal duration; Jannatu Adn, the garden of Eden; Jannatul Redhouse, the garden of paradise. Well, okay, we can give more meaning to some of these, but Jannatul Ma'wa, the garden of abode; Jannatul Na'im, the paradise of the pleasant trees; Darus Salam, the home of security; Darul Maqama, the house of sojourn; Ilayun, the sublime heights. Redhouse has Darul Khuld for Jannatul Khuld, but that is one of the names of hell. Well, Jahannam and Jannah are not the same, so yeah. As occurring in Quran 41:28. There's also a Darul Qarar, home of permanence, mentioned in Surah 40, Ayat 42, that it applies to hell and heaven, as does the Darul Baqa, the home of duration, commonly used, but not found in the Quran.